And we should be live right about now. Ladies and gentlemen, fellas, welcome back to the channel. Vetri here, and we're going to talk about, for literally, because I've got about 5 to 10 minutes, this Korean baseball league that, yes, it's a real life sport. It's starting tonight at like midnight if you're on the East Coast, or 1 a.m., whatever it might be, and people are going crazy for it. We are live streaming this right now, so if you're watching the replay, welcome in. This is going to be a live stream where I'm not really interacting with the comments because I just want to get this up without having to edit it, but I did go through like I did for the MLB and did a target pitcher sheet. Obviously, you can see some players' names are not filled in for their stats. These are the pitchers tonight. There are 10 teams in this league every single day, 6 days a week, 7 days a week, whatever it's going to be. There's going to be baseball games. They played 144 games, and then you're going to have a good amount of MLB players. You can see some names probably recognized. Maybe Dan Straley, former Baltimore Oriole. I think he went to the Miami Marlins, Toronto to end his season last year. You're not going to have stats for them because I'm using a Korean database and API from them. But pretty much, this is available right now on Twitter. You can get it right now if you want to screenshot it here. This will just help you get an idea of mainly what opponent stats look like for 2018, 2019. That's what some of those stats are going to weight into account. Give you an idea of what these pitchers were doing in the last year and a half or so in the database, and you can see that in the pitcher stats section. Vegas odds, the total is going to be the team total on the screen behind me, as well as the money line is just their odds of actually winning that game. So pitchers' wins are going to matter a lot more than they usually do in the MLB because there's not as many strikeouts. The strikeout rate on these pitchers is not high. So you see the best pitchers on this slate are getting like 7 strikeouts per game. Those are like mediocre pitchers in the MLB. Really good pitchers in the MLB are getting like 12 strikeouts per game or pushing at least 10 plus. So you're getting a situation where like average to bad pitchers in this league, they're going to go out there and get you like 5 strikeouts, and that's just not going to cut it. So you need them to pile up a victory at the end of it for it to actually matter. So if you're commenting right now on the live stream, I'm sorry I'm not actually going to be able to see it, but I just wanted to hop on here as quickly as I could and just post this up. I have to do a stream at 6:30. I'm at an E-stream, but pretty much this is the pitcher sheet. You're not going to get the lineups, they say, until a half hour before the games start. Maybe you'll get them a little bit earlier if their Twitter accounts are allowed to put them out. But the lineups for this league are not due until an hour before the games start. So if you're on the East Coast, they're not due until midnight, which stinks. And then they don't have to actually post them and tell them to the TV cast and the broadcasters until 12:30 on ESPN. So maybe their Twitter accounts will get them out earlier, especially if there's pressure from Twitter and the community. That actually has happened in the past for things like the WNBA and for the XFL and some other leagues. There is influence if you do indeed reach out, and a lot of people reach out. So I think that might actually have an effect. But what that pretty much means is that, if you are not on the West Coast, you're waiting up until midnight to know the lineup. So I'm personally not playing tonight. I personally probably will not play any of these days. I'm going to be back testing projections for the next week to 2 weeks. I will have those on Patreon after that's over. People have been asking me for content for this. I'm not going to be making a video every day on this stuff. All the stuff will be on Patreon as an add-on bonus to all the packages. So if Patreon's watching, you don't have to worry about anything in terms of paying extra for this. This sheet will be on there with pitchers, projections. We can get those pretty readily available based on just overall samples of similar pitchers, not necessarily these exact pitchers, although we have data from them from the past. So I'll be doing pitcher projections starting tonight, pitcher rankings based on those projections, and then stack rankings. And I'm not going to be doing player projections. I don't care. If you want to do MLB 150 maxing, yes, you need player projections. You need to double your position players. Maybe not as much so for this league since the pitchers aren't going to score as many points. But player projections, if you're somebody who plays 1 to 5 lineups, are not going to help you. You look at the Vegas odds, you see which team you want to stack, and you go from there. So if you're familiar with stacking in the NFL, even the League of Legends, if you were just playing esports, MLB stacking, depending on the site you're playing, I think FanDuel changed up their overall like structure of positions. But for Draftkings, 5-3 stacks, 5-1-1 stacks. People enjoy doing 4-3 stacks. Whatever the stack you like. I personally like 5-3. I personally like 5-2-1 and 5-1-1. I like getting that 5 number, so 5 players from one team. You don't have to worry about your team actually winning in the stack, although it's nice because it normally means that they scored a good amount of runs. If a team loses and scores 6 runs and then the team that beat them end up just scoring 7, that team that loses and scores 6, maybe they hit 3 home runs, they're going to actually be in the winning lineup. So just focus on stacking. I'm never going to be really offering probably Korean baseball projections because let's be honest, this is a popcorn era because we're just hoping for some sort of sports. The MMA is coming back, NASCAR, golf is due back in a couple weeks. Baseball just announced that spring training is starting back up in less than a month, and you're going to have the season starting up the first July 2nd, I believe, and then July 4th is the official opening day. July 2nd is when there's like 2 or 3 teams playing. I think the Yankees, Red Sox to actually start. So it's Korean baseball on DraftKings, and content-wise, and everybody who's just going to try and sell you a bunch of crap and make videos every day on it, is going to last a good 2 to 3 weeks in my opinion. So enjoy it for that time if you're up in time, but I'm personally not going to prioritize it in my content. I will have the rankings up on Patreon for people. YouTube videos wise, if these start to become 100K prize pools, I'll make content because the viewership will be there. If they're going to remain 20K prize pools, it's going to be the same as CSGO in terms of people got excited for the first 3 days of it, realized it was either 1, frustrating, or 2, they didn't want to stay up until 2 o'clock in the morning like the League of Legends stuff, and then they're going to to kind of cave on it. So that's where I'm at right now with this stuff. In terms of breaking down the specific slate, you're going to have 3 pitchers coming over and starting from the MLB. The ones that probably stand out to you the most are Dan Straley, former Baltimore Oriole, finished with the Toronto Blue Jays last year, and then Nick Kinham, who was most notably on, I believe actually Kinham might have been the one that finished with the Blue Jays last year, but most notably on Pittsburgh, where he was not good last year. He's actually going to come into this one as a favorite there, $9,000. Kinham's going to stand out. Dan Straley at $7,100. Like Dan Straley being one of the cheapest priced pitchers on this entire slate, and I currently have this, I think, I just filtered by how I brought it in for my projection sheet, but we could filter this by salaries real quickly. Dan Straley just being this cheap is pretty wild in my opinion. I mean, you have an MLB pitcher. He's on a 1-year deal because obviously he probably just wants to make some money right now since there's nothing going on. Smart for these guys to get over there. So walking you through this sheet, this is your basic info, which hand they're going to be pitching with. We don't have advanced stats right now in terms of how good these Korean pitchers were against lefties and righties. I'm sure there's some sort of database out there. I haven't been able to find it yet. Innings pitched per game. Obviously, these are some pitchers that we haven't had databases on because they're coming over from the MLB. We just don't have statistics on them just yet. And then overall, this is just Vegas odds. So totals means team total. So this team has a 5.5 run team total. Pretty much every single game total is 8.5, except this one between KTW, because I don't know what these teams are, and then the Giants. I think that's Latte Giants or whatever it is, but they have a 5.25 team implied run total. That's the highest in the slate. It's pretty much all the same run totals. Vegas doesn't know how to handicap this stuff, to be completely honest with you. They probably have a decent idea, but not a great idea. So that's where I'm at. These are just pitcher stats. I don't like ERA. When we're talking about MLB, ERA is not a good stat to be looking at. XFIP, really, and then Sierra is the one that I like the most. We don't have those statistics for this, so ERA is at least something to get a baseline at, but it doesn't factor in if a pitcher was getting lucky compared to the Sierra. So look at it, but look at it loosely. Home runs per 9, Ks per 9, walks per 9, those are fine to look at. Don't have the exact amount of plate appearances and if there was extra innings or whatnot last year, at least from what I've been trying to find. So K percentage isn't as readily available for pitchers, and then hits per 9. And then these are the stats that will actually really help. All these stats will help you relative to not looking at anything, but opponent stats. Home run percentage, it's going to naturally be lower. Strikeout percentage, this number you want to be higher because your pitcher is facing this team. That's what this is showing. These are the stats that the pitcher is facing. So you want the home runs to be lower. That's why it's in green. Want the strikeouts to be higher, the walks to be lower, right? If they're not walking as much, it means it could be, I guess walks are sort of neutral. If they're not walking as much, does it mean they're striking out or does it mean they're putting the ball in play? I'd rather not have them walk as much because then that's just less negative points for your pitchers. Walks, hits, home runs, all that are going to cause more negative points for your pitchers. And then RPG is just runs per game. So it's very simple stats here. So this is what you want to look at. If you've never played MLB DFS before, or even if you have, the most simple way to put it, it is not the most easy sport. If you really want to win tournaments, you have to be stacking and you have to be really good with an optimizer because unlike other sports where it's relatively easier to build out your stacks for football, for League of Legends, this one it's a little bit more nuanced if you want to get different types of stacks in there with your optimizers. If you're playing 1 to 3 lineups, I recommend single entry and 3 max and just 2. If you want to play the big tournament, that's fine, but just understand that you're probably not going to win it with one lineup. But with that said, 5-3 stacks I like, 5-2-1, 5-1-1. There's nothing wrong with going with a 4-3-1 or a 4-4 stack. Those are completely fine. I just always like getting the most upside in that one main stack with the most potential stack pieces to it. And then when it comes to pitchers, you want to target strikeouts. So in the MLB, those will be the most expensive pitchers. In this league, it seems to be the most expensive pitchers as well. Just looking at it right now. Now you're getting Yang all the way at the bottom here with 7.9 strikeouts per contest last year at only $4,100. I'm not sure if this is going to be pitched 6.35 innings pitch per start last year, so I'm not really sure what the overall issue is there in terms of why he's so cheap in this one, but I couldn't tell you why. I didn't watch the Korean Baseball League, and I'm not going to try and fake like I did last year, but I've got about 2 minutes left here before I got to jump on another show. But yeah, I mean, if I'm looking at this, I think Yang at the bottom is interesting. I think that's just looking at some of these ex-MLB pitchers. You would imagine, even if they struggled in the MLB, that their skill level is going to be a little bit more superior. Like Japanese baseball is good, but whenever they beat the Americans or whoever, Canadians in the World Classic, those are not all the best American players when it's all the best Japanese players. I understand this is in South Korea, don't worry. But yeah, Nick Kinham, Dan Straley are going to stand out. I do think that Yang all the way at the bottom is at least interesting when you look at it statistics-wise. And then all the way up the top with Brigham, Jake Brigham is going to look good in terms of not giving up any damage, just 0.3 home runs per 9 last year and getting a lot of strikeouts, 7.4. And he's facing a team who last year is last in the slate in terms of home run percentage, one of the worst slugging percentages, and the second least runs per game. So bring him all the way up the top makes a lot of sense in terms of statistical approach. Couldn't tell you how his game's been trending recently, though. I know it's opening night, but not paying attention to this man's real life at this point during a pandemic. So that's where I'm at right now. Focus on pitchers who are going to, one, pick up the win now that there's not going to be as many strikeouts, but the whole goal of it is to go deeper into games, pick up strikeouts, and then if they get the win, that's great. Limit the damage. That's what you want from your pitchers. You have to roster 2 of them on DraftKings. And then from your stacks, do not be playing one-off teams. Don't play guys from 4 different teams in your lineups. No, that's not what you're supposed to do when it comes to your batters. Play guys from 2 different teams or 3 different teams. I guess if you wanted to play guys from 4 different teams, you could, but make sure that one of them is a 5-man stack. A 5-1-1-1 would be 4 different teams, but don't make it like a 2-2-2-1 or something like that if that even adds up, right? You want to make sure that you're stacking to the most of your ability, because that just makes you statistically have the best chance of winning, because it reduces the amount of things you have to get right. If one team on the slate tonight scores 11 runs, all you got to do is stack that team to actually win. If a bunch of teams on this slate tonight score like 4 runs, you're just not going to win when you pick it off one by one. So you need a lot more to get right. That is the Korean Baseball League. That is the brief of it. Hopefully the stream worked out pretty well. I'm going to put it to the end screen now. If you're watching on the replay, hopefully you enjoy this. I didn't want to record a video because I didn't want to spend time editing the video and then uploading it. So this will go just naturally right up, so I don't have to worry about it since it's 6:30 at night already, so I'm sure not many people will be watching this, but hopefully you enjoy this. Hopefully it gives you a little bit of a brief. I'm not breaking down individual positions. I think that's pointless in my opinion. Individual positions don't matter. I care about team stacking. I care about pitchers. So look at pitchers right now. I'll add a team stacking page to Patreon. I'll be ranking the stacks, I'll be ranking the pitchers, and I'll be giving pitcher projections tonight as well as this model. No positional players. I could care less about positional players. I'm looking at stacks. So that's where I'm at right now. If you're going to stay up and actually play this or on the West Coast, good for you. I'll be probably asleep by 10, so there's no way I'm playing this. The lineups will not come out until, as of right now, we're expecting a little after midnight on the East Coast. So thank you for tuning in to this one. Hit the subscribe button. I can't edit it, so there's not going to be a big one that pops up, but hit the subscribe button if you're brand new here, or if you're not, make sure that you actually are subscribed, and the notification bell. A lot of NFL content I've been pumping out. It's doing very good. It's starting to boost in the algorithm. I'm very excited for July and August. There's a lot of potential in this, so be sure to check those videos out. Not only is it going to be good in terms of getting them out for myself, those are the most helpful videos you will find on the entire internet for free for the NFL season. I know it's far away, but get the edge over people, especially if you're drafting in best balls right now. You're going to have a huge, huge edge over people. Thank you for tuning into this one. Go sign up at Patreon. Support me over there if you want. We got MMA stuff going out. We got all the esports stuff still going out. We're going to have this now going out. And then obviously within the next 1 to 2 months, we're going to get all the main sports back, or at least attempt to get some of these main sports back on the market. So peace out, everybody. Hope you have a good rest of your night. And I will see you all in the next one. I'm going to put up this little screen here.